So Microsoft have announced that they are going to be increasing prices for games, for all their hardware, and a bunch of different stuff across all regions. And we talked about this kind of in a different video that had to relate to PlayStation. They increased their prices in some of the regions, but the question is why? A lot of people instantly are like, well, thanks Nintendo. But let's be honest, it's not Nintendo's fault. I'm going to explain why that is. A lot of people, maybe just misinformed, uninformed about, basic economics. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the new prices. If you enjoy this kind of content, leave a like, subscribe for more, and let's go ahead and jump straight into this. So what are going to be, I guess is the proper grammar, the new prices? Well, for games, this is kind of where people are instantly saying, well, it's Nintendo's fault. Games are going from 70 to 80 bucks. And everyone's like, well, it's because Mario Kart World is 80 bucks. Bear with me. I'll explain all this as we kind of go through it. But let's go into the hardware, and then again, I'll explain, the whys. Like, why is this actually happening? So the hardware, Xbox Series S is going from 500, or the 512 gigabyte one is going from basically 300 bucks to 380. These are US prices, by the way. Xbox Series S 1 terabyte is going from 350 to 430. Xbox Series X digital is going from 450 to 550, $100 increase on that one. Xbox Series X is going from 500 to 600. $100 increase. Xbox Series X 2 terabyte Galaxy Black, this special edition one, is getting a massive increase, $599 to $730. It's like what, $130 increase, if I'm doing the math right. Xbox wireless core controller is, I guess, staying at $65. The Xbox wireless controller special edition is going from $70 to $80. The Xbox wireless controller limited edition is going from $80 to $90. The Xbox wireless controller Series 2 core is staying at $150. The Xbox Elite Wireless Controller Series Series 2 Full is going from $180 to $200, so like a $20 increase. The Xbox Stereo headset is staying the same at 65 bucks. The Xbox wireless headset is getting a $10 increase from 110 to 120. So some pretty big increases here, as you can see across the board. And again, this is going to be in all regions across the board, man. This is not good. Huge price increases, and a lot of people are like, man, it's pretty wild that you're increasing like the prices that much, by the way, for like a 5-year-old console. This is what is going on. Same thing with PlayStation. We talked about this, the price increases. It's not because, Nintendo's charging more, because that makes no sense for hardware, right? Because Nintendo really actually are coming out at a loss because there's 10% tariffs imposed on Vietnam. So at least with America, they're coming out at a loss. And before that 10% tariff on Vietnam, which is where the Nintendo Switch 2 is produced, they were going to get marginal profit off of the Switch 2. Very minimal, if you will. It's estimated by analysts that the Switch 2 is costing pretty close to what it's basically being charged. So 450 US is what it's being charged. It's just over 400 bucks probably roughly to produce these things. Now, what's the deal with Xbox and PlayStation then? Well, those consoles are actually all the hardware is made in China. The US is imposing 125% tariffs on China, which is throwing the pricing for the US through the roof. Now, people are going to be like, yeah, but that's the US. That's not the rest of the world. Yes, but this is the way companies work, is that to make up for their losses, they increase the prices worldwide. So technically, if we were to take something like, okay, let's say, what was it? Let me just give you one example, right? Because Xbox Series X is $100 increase, right? It's 500 bucks. If we were to take 500 bucks and we were to add, like, let's say 125% tariff on that, technically that's a lot more than $100 increase, right? Way more than $100 increase. So what do you do so you don't increase the price way more in the United States alone? Well, you increase the price by a lesser amount across all regions that makes up for your losses. So that's why we're seeing a price increase for hardware across the board in all regions. PlayStation did a little bit differently. They're like, we're going to increase PlayStation Plus cost in Canada. We're going to increase the cost of hardware in certain regions. And that's how they've went about it so far. They haven't adjusted anything beyond that, like I said, so far. But maybe they're doing it incrementally to kind of soften the blow. Whereas Xbox just came out like, yeah, prices increased right across the board. Now that comes with software. Why would they increase software? There's a couple different things you got to consider, right? Number one, same thing like I just mentioned with PS Plus. Why did Sony suddenly come out and say, hey, PS Plus price is getting raised in Canada? Why just Canada and not like the rest of the world? Again, it's just they select regions, I guess. They just try to cover their losses and whatnot. But first of all, you know, tariffs aside, the global economy is not in a great state to begin with. Right, everything is through the roof in terms of costs, which is, you know, obviously not good. But that's one thing to also consider beyond just the tariffs. But like I said, companies trying to cover their losses is another big reason. So people think that, you know, this is Nintendo's fault for Mario Kart World. It's really a pity that Nintendo decided to do it first. I've been saying this for a while now because this was something that sadly was inevitable. It was gonna happen. It's been talked about throughout the industry for months upon months upon months. People thought GTA 6 would be the first one to do it. People still think GTA 6, you know, Rockstar is gonna charge $100 for that game. Hopefully not. Hopefully not. They're not gonna go that high because then that, you know, other companies might think, hey, we could do $100 for our games as well, which I guess is sort of what I'm saying, right? People think that same thing about Mario Kart. Well, Mario Kart did it, so companies thought we could do it with that. But again, when you kind of look at what's going on, you understand that it's not just that kind of situation. It's not just like people, you know, companies are like, oh, well, Nintendo did it, now we can do it too. And you got to also keep in mind, Nintendo is doing it with certain games. They're not doing it with all of their games. Whereas Microsoft, they're saying that for the first party games, exclusives, they're getting raised across the board. Nintendo was kind of like, well, Mario Kart World is $80, but then if you look at something like Donkey Kong Bonanza, that game is $70. So, you know, Nintendo's not doing it across the board. They did it with one game. Microsoft's doing it with all their first party games. And again, you know, it's the fact that they're getting hit pretty hard with tariffs because they are produced in China. PlayStation, Xbox produced in China. A little bit of Nintendo stuff was produced in China as well, but they've been trying to like shift their production over to Vietnam over the course of the last while. So that's kind of, you know, why Nintendo Switch 2 is not getting hit as hard because, again, only 10% tariffs on Vietnam, which Nintendo decided to eat the cost for and just come out at a loss instead of making marginal profits on their Nintendo Switch 2 console. So there's your explanation. Kind of a long one, but hopefully it makes sense for you guys. If you are into Nintendo content, I also cover that as well. There's a different channel for that because there's a lot to cover for Nintendo. I tried to cover it all in one place many years ago, and I was like, you know what? I got to split some of my content off. It's getting too much for one channel, so I decided to make a Nintendo channel. So that's for that. We do guides, news, walkthroughs, gameplays, you know, all that stuff, and then everything else gaming that's not Nintendo goes on this channel. So keep it locked for more. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. It's not good. It's not good. But it's really not Nintendo's fault. This was going to happen, and that's kind of why. Hopefully that explanation makes sense. Till the next one, game on. Thanks for watching.
Hey you! What are you doing? Join the Skeleton Army! Do it today! Don't wait till tomorrow because tomorrow might never come. The Earth is gonna fade, that's inevitable. The next second of your life's not even promised, so you better think about where you're going, and you might as well just join the Skeleton Army. Plus, we do kinda like you a little bit, so it'd be nice to see you around here. But if you don't want to, hey, you're lost. See you later!